Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to dive into the interesting world of calcium K filters, how they differ from H-alpha and broadband for solar imaging, and how you can use them to add something really interesting to your solar toolkit that you don't see with your current filters. I'll also share some images I've taken along the way. So let's get started. First, let's take a moment to review solar safety. Only use properly certified solar filters and modules as instructed. Never look through a calcium K filter at the sun visually unless it's clearly marked as visual use approved. Never point a telescope at the sun without proper filtration. Okay, what exactly is a calcium K filter? Calcium K filters isolate the spectral line of singly ionized calcium light at a specific wavelength of 393.3 nanometers, which is in the ultraviolet to near ultraviolet part of the spectrum. This is the emission line from ionized calcium atoms in the sun's atmosphere. Calcium K primarily samples the lower chromosphere and upper photosphere of the sun. In this layer we see the magnetic network, plage around active network, and bright points associated with concentrated magnetic flux. To use a calcium K filter, you'll need a solar telescope with a module or filter that attaches to your existing scope, like those from Bader Planetarium or Lunt. These are narrowband filters with bandwidths typically around 2 to 5 angstroms, making them safe for solar viewing when properly installed. Note, it's rarely sufficient to just have a calcium K filter. The sun's light is simply too bright. You need to attenuate the light before it gets to the filter. With the Bader filter, it's intended to be used with an objective neutral density filter to knock down the brightness. With the Lunt calcium K, that function is integrated into the diagonal. Now, why is calcium K tricky to see with the naked eye? The wavelength is right at the edge of our visual spectrum, around 393 nanometers, which is dimmer and more ultraviolet-like. Human eyes are most sensitive to yellow-green light, and sensitivity drops sharply in the blue-violet range. For older adults, it's even harder because the lens and cornea naturally yellow over time, filtering out more blue and violet light. That's why calcium K is rarely used for purely visual observing. It's dim and very low contrast for most people. Instead, it's a powerhouse for imaging. For imaging, a mono camera is ideal. Color cameras use a Bayer matrix, and those blue-green microfilters transmit poorly at 393 nanometers. Mono sensors typically have better quantum efficiency in the near UV as well. Even with sufficient filtration, your eye simply isn't very sensitive at 393. That's why calcium K is primarily an imaging domain. Agena Astro provided me with this filter to evaluate, so shout out to them. I tested it with both a Lunt Herschel wedge and a separate objective filter. I recommend starting with an affordable mono astro camera like an ASI 178M or an ASI 533M. Hook it up to your laptop, use software like SharpCap, and you'll see the sun in calcium K. In calcium K, the sun looks mottled with a bright cellular network. The brightest patches near active regions are called plage, excellent indicators of magnetic activity. Plage are the upper layer of what starts as faculae in the photosphere. Scientifically, calcium K is valuable because it traces magnetic heating in the lower chromosphere. It's a superb way to track active region evolution, understand the magnetics on the sun, and complement H-alpha data for a fuller 3D picture of solar activity. Check out these images I took with my setup. You'll see bright plages glowing around the sunspot group. This is magnetic activity you won't see in white light. At 393 nanometer, the focus shifts versus white light, so expect to refocus. Seeing is also harsher at shorter wavelengths, so use short exposures and high frame rates as much as you can to freeze the seeing. Of course, all the images I've taken with mono cameras are black and white. Here's how I turn them into a violet image. First, I convert the image from mono to RGB. Then I stretch the red and blue layers as shown to achieve the specific hue that I want. So how does calcium K differ from other filters? Broadband or white light filters show the photosphere, sunspots, granulation, and faculae, but no upper atmosphere details. Hydrogen alpha, at 656.28 nanometers, reveals the upper chromosphere, dramatic prominences, sunspots, plage filaments, and spicules shooting up. Calcium K is in between, showing the lower chromosphere structures tied to magnetic fields, giving a more photosphere-like view, but with a chromospheric flare. It's also cooler and deeper than HA, so features look more subtle. You can at times also see prominences with the calcium K, but they're more subtle than are shown in hydrogen alpha. Calcium K gives you unique magnetic activity context that white light and H alpha alone can't provide. It's a great complement. White light for photosphere detail, calcium K for plage, and H alpha for filaments and prominences. If you already image in H alpha, calcium K fills in the lower chromosphere, completing the story of solar activity across the layers. So to wrap up, adding calcium K filter to your solar arsenal offers a unique perspective if you're into imaging. It offers great views of the lower chromosphere's magnetic network, supergranulation, and plages that you can't get from HA or white light. It excels with mono cameras and deepens your understanding of the sun's dynamic layers. Whether you're chasing solar cycles or just capturing stunning violet-hued images, calcium K brings something unique. If you try it, share your results in the comments. And thanks for watching. Please hit like, subscribe, and have clear skies.